Broadcasting live from Houston, from the space city to the world. You are watching Now Media Television.
Hey, welcome back to Biz Talk TV. I'm your business guide and host, Michael Rager with Teach Your Business to Fish. I've got my good friend Roland Parker here from Empress Computers. Roland, how are you doing today?
Hey, Michael, doing great. Glad to be back on the show.
Well, man, one of the fun things, I know what happens with business owners like myself. We're going to install new technology and new software. That's what happens, right? We all go out Christmas shopping and get new toys for the next year. As a business owner, how should I go prepared to install and upgrade my software and hardware, coming into 2023?
Well, we're wrapping up 22, 23 is around the corner, and this is a good time to look at what software am I getting? Is my hardware going to be sufficient to run that software? So you really want to sit down with somebody like us and start looking at, what are the recommended specifications. As new versions of programs come out in your operating systems, that means that your hardware needs to be upgraded. Now, we need to look at, can your current machine be upgraded? And if it can we upgrade things like your RAM, additional hard drive space, and to cope, or do you need a better video card to cope with whatever program you're running? Or do you just need to upgrade the machine?
So how do we make those decisions? I mean, do we go figure out the software first and then come to you and say, okay, is my hardware going to run it? Is it, what do my employees want? How do we make those decisions?
Yeah, so part of it is what programs are you running? And if you're doing things like AutoCAD or anything that does 3D rendering, it could be video rendering, it could be anything to do with sound editing or video recording, or it could just be general programs like Microsoft Office. Now, we really want to look at what are your hardware specs, and general rule of thumb, if your computer's more than 5 years old, the chances are you're going to need to replace it. It's just not going to cope in today's environment. And part of that is the productivity of employees. So if your employees are working and they're losing time because they're waiting on the machine to respond, then you're actually wasting valuable resources. It's far better to say, let's get a new machine, get them into a faster unit, and they're going to be so much more productive. So you really want to look at how old is the machine, and then what software do I want to run, and what hardware do I need to put into it to make the employees productive as possible.
Well, really, right now, our computers, our phones, all these things, they're pretty much disposable items, right? Well, they got about a 2, maybe 3 year lifespan before all the technology's outgrown them.
So, if you're just doing general Word, Excel, PowerPoint, surfing the internet, you can keep a machine 5, and if you don't do much, maybe 6 or 7 years. But realistically, if your employees are working full time, just think of how much more productive they're going to be if they're in a quick, fast unit that responds like lightning. And that's when you're going to get more satisfied employees because they're not getting frustrated, and you're going to get more work out of them.
Well, then you're going to go play we're going to go play the PC versus Android Apple game. How does that work as a business owner? How do we come to you, and how will you help us figure out which one's best for us to run our business on?
Yeah, so a lot of the time people come in and they say, well, should I go Apple-centric? Should I be Windows-centric? And really what we want to do is look at, well, what programs are you running? If the programs are more based around the Mac, then you may say, okay, we're going to go Mac in this environment, but for my accounting, my general admin work, we're going to go PC-based, and sometimes we can merge those two technologies. Or you may just say, look, everything is going to be more Windows-centric, and we're going to go full Windows-based and get machines that are based around that. But it all comes down to what programs are you running, and what are the best specifications to make that program as efficient as possible.
Yeah, because it really has to do, right, with how creative we are, right? It seems like the more creativity and stuff that Apple, Mac stuff seems to really take out. Because I remember, God, man, what was it, back in the 90s? Early when it first started getting popular, one of my good friends is, she was all, Apple. But she was a graphic designer. She was shooting video. She was doing stuff way back then. And how does that decision on what to do, play into what do we buy as a business owner?
Yeah, so have a look at the software, and then have a look at what your peers are doing at the same time, and then we can sit down with you and say, look, you may have been a Mac-based person in the past, but the new Windows programs with your better video cards and better processors, you can now do the exact same thing, and that program's compatible with both Windows and Mac. And then it becomes a personal choice. You can either go both, but you'd have more integration if you've got a server, if you went Windows-based, and if you had a Mac, that's not necessarily going to fully integrate with your server. We can make it work, but it's not going to be as efficient once you've got, say, a Server 22 or Server 2019 operating system, and you're trying to connect your Mac to it. So there's a lot that goes into it. You really want to start making the correct decisions in the beginning and sit down with us and really have a look at, what is going to be the best for your environment to make you more productive and your employees more productive.
Well, man, so if somebody wants to reach out and get a hold of you, Roland, how do they do it?
They can get a hold of us at 281-647-9977 or reach us on the web at impresscomputers.tech. That's IMPRESS computers.tech, and we'll sit down with you and make the best plan for your business.
Well, awesome, man. So I thank you for coming in. It's always a joy when you come in here and sit in the studio with me. It's a lot of fun.